And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl. He called it again, I'm sure. He walked up and he goes, "Can you believe, Coach? We're going to the Super Bowl."
These are my conference championship predictions, the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. So there's obviously two games here. I'm going to give you my thoughts about the game and who I think will win. And I'm going to keep it as brief as I can and hopefully give you some insight. But anyway, guys, let's get started. All right, kicking off on Sunday, January 28th at 3 p.m., we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens. So, the Ravens, they shut out Stroud and bullied him, especially like in the second half. I mean, the first half, like, the score doesn't indicate how close it was. I don't think it was as bad because the Texans did hang around in there. The only difference is Lamar is rushing. You know, he had 2 touchdowns and 2 passing. So he had total of 4 touchdowns, which is just awesome. And I'm happy for him. Like I said, you know, there's been a lot of false narratives I never understood. You know, the surrounding him. You know, Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar Jackson. You know, he's on a rival. That's the only thing that bothers me. That doesn't mean I have to like his team. And I don't like any of these teams, to be honest. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you can never count this dude out in the playoffs. I mean, this dude is just incredible. You know, I said this last week. He will make, and I said this 2 weeks ago, too, in the wild card against Miami. A lot of people thought Miami was going to win. I said he'll make something out of what he has. You know, he started 3-4 last year, or 2 years ago, I should say, and they made it all the way to the AFC Championship game, like I said. He has he just makes the most of what he has, and that's what he did last week, you know. Even if Tyler Bass made that field goal, I know he's getting a lot of hate, and kudos to the fans that are, like, showing him support and stuff, but I think everybody had a feeling like you gotta still stop Pat. Like there's no guarantee, right? Like you don't know what you're gonna do, even if he makes that field goal to tie the game. What boils it down for me, guys, is like the game's in Baltimore. Yes, every time you feel like the Ravens, like it's supposed to be a close game, everybody thought like the Lions could challenge them. You know, the Lions, like they blew them out by like 32. They won like was it 32 to 8. 38-6, something like that. I don't remember. But the point is they blew them up by, I think, 30. And they crapped on Miami Dolphins. Granted, Miami was like super injured the hell and back. And then they also beat out on San Francisco. I mean, Brock Purdy threw 4 picks. You can say it was a fluke, but that defense played incredible. I want to see, like, I want to pick the Chiefs, but I'm also leaning to picking the Ravens just because of their amazing defense. But yeah, like I said, like what boils it down to for me, guys, the Ravens at home, and they've made good quarterbacks look like crap. They have a chance to really, they can really send a message against Mahomes here, and Mahomes can also send a message here, like to them as well, like, hey, I'm still the guy. Like it doesn't matter who I have on my receiving team. He did that last year with Juju as his wide receiver one. But guys, the game's at home for the Ravens. They got a great defense. Like I said, they made good quarterbacks look bad, and so I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll say they win by 24-20. I think the Kansas City's defense will keep them in check, and I think Ravens defense will do the same for Mahomes. But I'm not saying this is going to be a Lions-Ravens type of game, but I think Baltimore is going to win. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, the Ravens will be the AFC champions, and they will go to the Super Bowl in Vegas. I told you guys before the playoffs, the last thing I want is for a division rival to play in or even have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Because regardless if you win or lose the Super Bowl, people are going to remember you for going there. Like, that's just what hurts. Because, like, when you think about last year, you think about the Chiefs and the Eagles. You think about the year before, Rams, Bengals. You know, like, you think about Chiefs, Bucks. Like, you think about the 2 teams that come out of the conference. And I just, I hate that the fact it's the Ravens. If it was any other team, like, outside of the AFC North, I'd probably pull for that team. Because I'm also looking for a fresh face. I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs, but I'm also not. I just can't pull for a rival, like a division rival like that. Especially like over the last couple of years, the heated issue. And even though they're a team I hate the least in the division, that doesn't mean I like them in any way. But sadly, guys, I am going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to get the job done over the Kansas City Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. Moving on to the NFC Championship, we got the Detroit Lions at the San Francisco 49ers. So the Lions, a great win over the Tampa Bay Bucks. For a moment, it looked like they were going to come back a little bit, like Baker and them. But obviously, that pick sealed it at the end there. But, and, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he backed up his talk, I think he went a little bit, he was doing a little too much, but, he backed it up. He played a great game. He got in Baker's face, he just got in his head, I guess. I don't know. But the comments that he made, he backed it up. So you got to give him credit for that. And then the 49ers, they did beat the Packers by a field goal, or by 3 points. But unfortunately for them, Deebo Samuel, he's out. Or not out, but he's he went out of the game. And his status is up in the air. And I think that's a big, big, big blow for San Francisco. Keep in mind, when they lost Deebo Samuel, they lost 3 games in a row. If I'm a Lions fan, even if I lose this game, I have to be super proud, of the season. I felt this way. So 2 years ago, the Bengals were in the AFC Championship. When it was 24-21 and Mahomes was going down, I had a feeling of course I hoped that we'd win, but I had a feeling yeah, man, I think this is just where he makes his mark. And at the same time, though, I wasn't upset. Obviously I would be upset if they lost, but it was I'm so proud of them. They after such a bad year in 2020, they came back and went to the AFC Championship game. Obviously they won it, ended up losing in the Super Bowl, which hurts a lot more, but still was proud of the season. They played their living tails off, the whole playoffs, and it was amazing to watch. But if I'm a Lions fan, though, I feel the same way. They're kind of in the same position as the Bengals are. They won the division, won a playoff game for the first time in 30-plus years. Props to this team. But the Niners, guys, I think the Deebo loss is going to hurt, but I also think Brock Purdy's super motivated. They're really hungry after last year losing to Philly, and they have a bad taste, especially after he went out. I think the Bengals did beat Patrick Mahomes, but Jared Goff, much as I like Jared Goff, he's not Joe Burrow, and that defense can definitely cause problems for Brock Purdy. But I also think Brock Purdy's hunger and just his drive to get back to get to the Super Bowl, as Mr. Irrelevant. I think he had a chance to do that last year, but obviously he was hurt. So I think he's also trying to prove, obviously I saw Ryan Clark make some comments on, Brock Purdy. I don't know how he's, in the year with Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, all that stuff. So I think Purdy's motivated. I think the Niners are motivated. They found a way to win last week, and that was the most important. When Aaron Jones had that big run, I thought it was, felt like Green Bay was going to pull it off. So it's they found a way to win, and Lions, props to you guys, but I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers to win the NFC Championship. I think they just have too much firepower. Even without Deebo, McCaffrey's an absolute monster. And they're healthier than they have been in past years, And I think that could definitely... The experience factor, they've been here before. But I think if there is one game out of the two that I am a little more confident that could go the other way, guys, it's this one. Because I think the Lions, with Dan Campbell, I think Dan Campbell is going to coach his ass off. And I think he's going to be let's just go win this damn game. Without Deebo, they get a huge chance. And I don't think he's going to play. That'd be my guess, but I'm not sure. We'll see. It's Wednesday morning, so we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I think the Niners, I think they just pull it out here. They're at home. The crowd's going to be super into it. And, they're hungry. That's the most important. When you win the Super Bowl, you're hungry. Obviously, you're still hungry. You arguably might be more hungry, but you have a little bit of the hangover, so you might not play to your best ability, especially if it's been 1 or 2 years after. San Francisco is just hungry. They fell short, they haven't won a Super Bowl since the 90s. And, they lost the last 2 they were in. Shanahan's hungry, Brock Purdy's hungry. They have a lot of motivation, internal motivation. Obviously, the Lions do too, but I think San Francisco is a better team. And it'd be great to see the Lions win, but I'm going to pick the Niners. And so, guys, the Super Bowl matchup, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Baltimore Ravens. So I guess that logo for the Super Bowl theory, that will come to fruition for this year as well. So, I'm not going to give you my prediction for this. I'm going to wait to see, first of all, who makes it. And if these two teams do make it, I will give you a prediction. I would not say I have a full answer right now. These, like I said, if these two teams do indeed make it, I think this game could go either way. Both these teams, it's their year out of the conference. I don't think I've ever watched a division rival in a Super Bowl. I've watched my team in the Super Bowl, but not a division rival. So this is going to be the first time, at least my prediction. So that's going to be a little tough to watch, but, I'm going to enjoy it regardless. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys all watching. It really means a lot. These are fun to make. Honestly, I love doing predictions. It'd be more fun if my team was in it last year. I wish I had this channel last year, and the year before that. But hopefully we're back next year. I think we have a good chance if we're healthy. But these are my picks, guys. That'll wrap it up. So I got the Ravens and Niners winning. Like I said, I think both these games can go either way. I think all 4 teams are absolutely hungry. It's going to be a great week of football, and I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I do. So everybody take care. I'm out.